Okay, so during the holidays, I always see these types of videos of gift guides or, 10 things to buy, creatives under $100. And while I love that and can appreciate that, I always find that there's a big chunk of them that aren't really helpful at all. And I'm making this video, yes, it's currently the holidays, and it can be looked at as a gift guide for either yourself or somebody in your life that is a video editor or a creator, but also I want to make this video for the people who want to level up their desk and to have tools in their toolkit to actually do their job better. I've been a freelance editor for the last 10 years, and with that, I've added things to my desk that enhance my workflow, and these are the things that I want to share with you. So yes, this is a list, but these are things that help me day in, day out to make my workflow a lot easier, and I can't recommend all of these tools enough. So let's get into it. Okay, so number one, and arguably the biggest, is a new mouse. I waited way too long to get a new mouse because I was convinced that my stock Apple mouse was good enough, and I was so incredibly wrong about that. It's wild. My productivity just with this one upgrade alone has been nuts. On this specific mouse, you can map custom functions to each button on the mouse, and they do different things depending on what app you're in. Not to mention it's a better position for your hand to sit in, and that alone is a huge reason to upgrade. All right, so at the end of each segment, I'm going to share my personal recommendations that I found through my own researching when I was looking to buy. And for mice, the unanimous decision within the industry is the Logitech MX series, and I definitely will never be going back to using anything but the MX Master. So number two is still on hand health, and this is the Carpio. I was actually having terrible wrist pains and kind of developing carpal tunnel, I think, because of how long I was spending on the computer editing and the way my hand was sitting on the Apple mouse. I ended up taking a chance on this little guy, and it really made all the difference in supporting my wrists and effectively getting rid of my wrist pain. Now, the thing about this is it might not be for everybody because of how you actually have to learn how to sit your wrist in it and move this with your mouse, but an alternative to that is getting the compression sleeve that you can actually put on your wrist. This little guy is definitely one of the greatest additions to my desk that I've made in recent years. So the options in the market are pretty slim here, but Delta Hub has actually come out with a few more updated versions of the Carpio, and of course, the classic compression sleeve is definitely a tried and true solution. A solid card reader. This is such a small thing and it gets overlooked all the time, myself included. I've gone through a number of cheap card readers, but a cheap one is definitely not the move, especially if you're DITing or using it outside your house, dumping footage on shoots, that kind of thing. And something you should know already is that all card readers don't read at the same speed. So this is something that you have to look out for. So take this as your PSA to buy a quality card reader that has a fast transfer speed. So I'm lucky enough to have built-in card readers in my USB dock in MacBook Pro that are pretty speedy, but when I was using more than just SD cards, I was using the Angelbird card readers, and they were really fantastic. And in the same build category, I would recommend the SanDisk as well. So kind of in the same idea is a USB dock. So recently I switched from an iMac to a MacBook Pro, and it has been really great so far, but one of the things I needed to buy was a USB dock. And again, this I cannot stress enough to buy quality. One of my big personal needs was that I needed to run 2 monitors, and by default, the MacBook can't do that with just one cord and the Apple display. So you need an external USB dock that's actually capable of doing that. This is something that I learned through trial and error, so please do your research and avoid my mistakes. I settled on the USB dock from CalDigit because of the quality, but also because of the one function that it has its own app, and you can eject all your discs that are plugged in through one click. And for me, that's just amazing because you can just eject and then walk away with your laptop, and that's all I want. These are way more than just dongles. These USB docks are way more robust and do a lot more. The ones I could reco are CalDigit's TS3 and TS4 and any OWC products. This one's a no-brainer for sure, but quality SSDs, quality hard drives, don't cheap out on these. These are where you're putting your good files. These are where your client files sit. This is where your own videos sit. It's just a no-brainer. I don't even need to spend time here. Get a trusted one. That's all I can say. Okay, for my archive drives, I'm partial to pretty much everything Western Digital, and I lean on the Professional series a lot for the G-Tech drives, but I can also reco the Samsung T5s and T7s for SSD editing. Okay, another one that I feel like gets overlooked a lot is speakers and headphones. All you're looking for here is something with a flat sound. So what I mean when I say that is to not use speakers or headphones that are made for listening to music. So something that has a lot of bass, like the Beats headphones, are not good for mixing because you're gonna get a distorted version of what your video actually sounds like, and that's not what you want. You want kind of a balanced, true to life sound, and the way to get this is just by a flat environment. Now, there's a ton of options for speakers and headphones, and it really comes down to what your budget is. So in my research, my budget led me to these options. For speakers, KRK was a really big brand, and I ended up settling on the PreSonus Aris. For headphones, Beyerdynamic, Audio-Technica, and Sennheisers are kind of the brands that I looked at, and I used the 288 Pros for most of my work. You want a level playing field on pretty much every aspect when you're creating videos. Speakers and headphones is one thing, but the next thing I can recommend is getting yourself a color calibration device for your screen. A lot of the manufacturers nowadays are already coming out with color calibrated screens, and that's super great, but not all of them are like that. A great example is this guy to my side here. There's no way I could trust that monitor for color straight out of the box, but after calibration, it actually lines up with my studio display. Calibrating your monitors is a great thing to do every once in a while as well, and it keeps things cohesive across all your devices. Now again, hopefully you actually never need these because everything nowadays comes calibrated, but if you do, the big ones in the industry are SpiderX by Datacolor and X-Rite's Calibrite. This next one is what you've been watching me talking to this entire time. It's this Rode Pod mic and this mic arm. It doesn't have to be this exact setup. What I use this for way more than what I'm doing right now is scratch VO while I'm editing. I'll record a temp VO for whatever client I'm editing for, and to be honest, this is a really game-changing move to speed up your workflow, just to grab a microphone, do a quick voiceover, and give the client an actual idea of the pacing, what you need, or what's being left out in the VO or in the product that needs to be delivered. So definitely hands down one of the best investments I've made for my editing career. And to be honest, you can always use it on a Zoom call. All right, this is another category that has a ton of options. My top picks right now would be USB versions, and kind of in the mid-tier budget, the Shure MV7 and the Rode PodMic USB version. And I use a Warm Audio boom stand, but have also used the Rode PSA-1. So paired with my mic setup, I use an audio interface to control everything that has to do with audio for my computer. It controls the volume of my speakers, it controls all the inputs. This isn't totally necessary, but because I have an XLR mic and I actually like recording music, an audio interface is actually kind of crucial for me. But it may not be for you, but I have to mention it because it's definitely one of the workhorses that sit on my desk. So I use the Evo 4 by Audient, but I know one of the most common interfaces is Focusrite's Scarlett. So a lot of things I've been talking about try to remove friction in my workflow, and these next things are literally no different. This is more of a category, I would say, but just peripherals that sit on your desk that are specific tools. So think the DaVinci Color Panel, DaVinci Keyboard, Speed Editor, the Loop Deck, any live streaming keys that you can map with custom functions. All of these will be worthwhile investments when you learn them and incorporate them while you're editing to speed up your entire workflow. You can definitely go down a rabbit hole on this one to get dedicated tools, but I'm a big fan of tactile devices that Blackmagic makes just for the specific task, like the editor keyboard and the color panel. So something that I did when I was learning DaVinci Resolve was to actually change my keyboard out so I could start learning the actual shortcuts and adapt to the program a lot faster. And something you could do as a beginner is just get a keyboard cover. It really helps to have all the shortcuts and hotkeys available to read so your brain can start a backlog of all the shortcuts and remember them, and you just inherently will learn the program faster. And you're not going to have to Google every shortcut that you want to learn because it'll simply be right in front of you. Editor's keys is definitely my recommendation for keyboard covers. They cover pretty much every program that you want to learn. Okay, and this whole thing wouldn't be complete without my desk, my chair, and my standing mat. So this is my fully Jarvis desk, and I fully stand by this desk. I love it so much. I've had it for years. It took me a while to save up to actually purchase it when I first got it, but I'm so happy and my body is so happy that I actually did it. And paired with that, I actually use this Topo standing mat that I also purchased from Fully. So I've been through a number of chairs at this point in my editing career, but the one I've settled on is the Herman Miller Sail. So Fully Products is what I use and still exactly what I would recommend today. Okay, that's everything that's made it to my desk to make my life easier as a freelance editor. Hi, Winnie. Do you want to say bye to the folks? Why don't you come up here? The camera's over there. Do you want to say something? Okay. All right.